some information that ICT wants to make sure that we are all aware of moving into the new school year. If you have questions about any of this information, please feel free to email Lindsay Stevenson. Password ethics. We need to make sure we're using different passwords for different accounts and different passwords for each of our students if we are in elementary schools creating those passwords. Please be sure that we are using 8 to 12 characters, upper lowercase, and special characters. We need to avoid reusing old passwords and attempt not to make it personal, avoiding names and favorite things or things that would be easily accessible about us on our social media pages, but more likely to use a line from a song, abbreviations, and things that would be easily remembered but not easily decoded. This is important to continue doing throughout all of our accounts to make sure that we prevent any phishing or hacking that could happen moving forward, as we know that that has been a more common practice in the past 12 months of moving to more of a digital world. Google has some updates that will impact all its users, especially its Google for Education users. So the first one coming out is a sharing update. It's an increased security with sharing. You'll see a banner in your Google Drive and you'll click on My Files to see which of your files are impacted. And then you can follow the directions to increase the security for those files. Space is becoming an issue with Google. They are now going to limit the amount of space that school districts have, where in the past we've had unlimited Google Drive space. So for this reason, in preparing for this change, we're asking that all staff members go through their Google Drive, separating personal and professional, and making sure their personal information and personal documents and photos are all stored in a personal Google Drive. This will help us to have a better idea moving into this limited space of what we need to do on our end to make sure that all users continue to be able to use the Google Drives to their fullest. The final thing that will be changing is you will soon be seeing notifications on your computer for a Drive for Desktop sync. This is replacing the backup and sync option. When you see the Drive for Desktop notification, please follow its directions and proceed with transitioning to this update from Google. These are some of the images that you may see and some of the notifications you may get. If you are attempting to share a file, even if it's to a first name, last name @smsd.org user, you may see that you are sharing out of your organization, which will seem bizarre. But go ahead, make sure it's the person you want to share with, and then share anyway. If you're receiving a shared document, you may see this on the right, that someone has shared something with you and that you need to confirm your email address. So again, be assured that this is just an increase in privacy and security on Google's end due to some of their breaches in the past 12 months. They also will have this banner across the top of your Google Drive. You can learn more about that update, but you also can see the files that will be impacted and make those security updates as necessary. Some updates with Webex for student accounts. Webex student accounts have been disabled, meaning they do not have credentialed accounts. The apps from the iPads and the computers and Manager have been removed. So what does this mean? Students can still attend meetings if you share a meeting link with them. If we're using personal rooms, you must be using the lobby feature and lock your room when the class begins to prevent any outsiders from coming into your room. Teams is no longer accessible to our students. However, we can now utilize Canvas discussions as a replacement for that chat space, and that will also be something that's more easily controlled. Teacher organized meetings can still be used through teachers, and staff still have access to meetings and Teams. Teachers can arrange meetings for students to attend and share the link with them, and they can still access that meeting. The Webex boards are still accessible for collaborative spaces. Google Collaborative Documents is another way we can encourage digital collaboration outside of that Webex space. Finally, there have been some website updates. Weebly can no longer be supported as a platform for our district due to the number of successful phishing attempts in the past year that happened within our district. Outside people have been using the Weebly access to then get access to our district credentials and send emails and fish for information. This has created an issue for our security team. Acceptable platforms moving forward would be the school-wide website, Final Site. Please reach out to Lindsay if this is something you're interested in moving to. Google Sites, Wix, and Wix is something that as long as we don't have the same issues we had with Weebly, it will continue to stay open. If you are using Wix and we start to see the same issue that we saw with Weebly, we'll be forced to have to block that in district as well. WordPress, you can now use Canvas course cards for your activities and sports if that is the best way for you to communicate. Student portfolios can be transitioned to Bulb app, which is a free Google login, and it serves as an online resume for students, and so it's worth checking out. If you need help transitioning to any of these platforms, please email Lindsay Stevenson at smsd.org.